Most men think making a woman addicted to them requires looks, money, or grand gestures. But the truth is, emotional addiction doesn't start with physical attraction, it starts with psychological connection. When a woman feels seen, understood, and emotionally stimulated, her mind keeps returning to you again and again. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how that happens and what truly makes a woman crave your presence more than your touch. Most men listen to women with the intent to respond. They wait for their turn to speak, to fix, to prove, or to win. But what truly makes a woman addicted to you has nothing to do with how fast you reply. It's about how deeply you connect. Women crave emotional understanding because very few people actually give it to them. When she speaks, she's not just expressing words. She's revealing her inner world, her fears, her desires, her emotional chaos. If you can make her feel that you understand her emotional language without judgment, interruption, or ego, you immediately separate yourself from every other man she's known. Understanding doesn't mean agreeing with everything she says. It means validating her emotions even when you don't fully relate. When she says she feels neglected or distant, instead of defending yourself, you say, "I understand why that would make you feel that way." That one sentence disarms her. It tells her you see her, not just the argument. Women remember how you make them feel, not what you say. When you create a space where she feels safe to be emotionally vulnerable, her mind begins associating you with comfort and security. And the more she opens up to you, the more emotionally dependent she becomes on that feeling of safety. But there's a deeper layer here. Emotional understanding is not about pretending to care. It's about genuine curiosity. When you ask questions that go beyond the surface, like, "What made you feel that way?" or "What were you hoping for in that moment?" she feels emotionally seen. And emotional visibility is rare. That's why when a woman experiences it, it becomes unforgettable. She starts craving that connection because it allows her to exist without wearing the mask she shows to the world. Most men fail here because they think attraction is built through charm or dominance. But true emotional pull comes from subtle emotional intelligence. When you pick up on the shift in her tone, when you notice she's quieter than usual and you ask, "What's really going on?" you're showing presence. That presence is addictive because it communicates emotional attunement, something women naturally long for in a partner. Here's what happens psychologically. Every time she feels emotionally seen by you, her brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical released during intimacy. This makes her feel emotionally safe and physically drawn toward you at the same time. And because emotional understanding is rare, she subconsciously starts linking you to that rare emotional satisfaction. That's when she starts thinking about you, even when you're not around. To make a woman addicted to you, don't rush to fix her emotions. Hold them. Don't rush to talk. Listen. Don't aim to impress. Connect. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to be emotionally available in a world where most people are not. When you become that safe emotional space, she won't be able to detach easily. Her mind will return to you for that same sense of comfort, validation, and connection because no one else gives it to her the way you do. When you understand her emotions without judgment, you communicate maturity. When you respond calmly instead of defensively, you show emotional control. And when you show curiosity instead of dismissal, you make her feel valued. These small details build an invisible thread of attachment, stronger than words, stronger than attraction. Because once a woman feels emotionally understood by a man, walking away from him feels like walking away from a part of herself. There's a fine line between being stable and being boring, and that's exactly where most men lose a woman's emotional interest. They confuse predictability with reliability, Two very different things. Reliability is when she knows she can count on your character. Predictability is when she knows exactly what's coming next. One builds trust, the other kills excitement. To make a woman emotionally addicted to you, you must master the balance, be emotionally consistent, but behaviorally unpredictable. Women are emotionally stimulated creatures. Their minds crave variety, challenge, and discovery. If she can predict your every move, every text, every plan, she mentally checks out. But when you keep her guessing, not through games, but through depth, you trigger her curiosity. She starts to wonder what's next with you, and that wonder becomes the fuel for emotional addiction. It's not about manipulation. It's about keeping the connection alive through emotional stimulation. Here's how it works. Consistency builds safety. She trusts that your intentions are real. Unpredictability builds excitement. She feels emotionally charged by your presence. When you combine both, you create a cycle of comfort and thrill. She feels grounded in who you are, but intrigued by what you might do next. That's where the magic happens. That's when she starts to crave you, not because she's confused, but because she feels emotionally alive around you. Being unpredictable doesn't mean being inconsistent with your values or your respect. It's not about canceling plans or ignoring her texts to look mysterious. It's about being multidimensional. One day you take her to her favorite spot because you remember the little details she shared. Another day, you surprise her with something spontaneous, a drive, a conversation, a moment of silence that feels intimate. You keep showing her new layers of yourself. That's what makes her emotionally invested, because every version of you gives her something to explore. Women don't fall in love with routines. They fall in love with experiences that make them feel something. When she's with you and doesn't know what the next moment will bring, her mind stays alert, her emotions stay active, and her attachment grows. It's the same reason people get hooked on movies or stories. They're drawn to unpredictability. The difference is, in your case, you are the story, are the. At the same time, your intentions must remain stable. She must always know that no matter how unpredictable your actions are, your emotional commitment is solid. You can shift your approach, but not your principles. You can surprise her, but never confuse her. Women become addicted not to chaos, but to contrast, the balance between safety and excitement, familiarity and mystery. When she feels both in one man, she becomes emotionally invested at a level she can't easily detach from. Psychologically, unpredictability releases dopamine, the pleasure hormone. Each time she experiences something unexpected with you, her brain gets a dopamine spike. When those moments are tied to positive emotions like laughter, curiosity, or connection, her brain starts linking you to pleasure itself. That's why emotional unpredictability done right can be more addictive than physical attraction. It keeps her mind locked in a loop of curiosity and anticipation. So, to make a woman addicted to you, don't show her all your cards too soon. Let her discover you in layers. Don't always reply the same way. Don't always plan the same things. Keep your energy calm, but your actions surprising. When she knows she can depend on your character but not predict your next move, you become both her comfort and her mystery. And that's the perfect psychological combination that keeps her coming back for more. Because she's not just drawn to who you are, she's addicted to how you make her feel. If there's one thing that keeps a woman coming back long after you've stopped talking, it's curiosity. When a woman can't fully figure you out, when she's intrigued but not confused, her mind begins to orbit around you. Curiosity is one of the most powerful emotional triggers because it keeps her thinking about you even in your absence. And the more mental space you occupy, the deeper the emotional connection grows. Making a woman addicted to you isn't about overwhelming her with attention. It's about keeping her mind engaged in a subtle, intelligent way. Most men make the mistake of being emotionally transparent too soon. They overshare their life, their thoughts, and even their intentions. While honesty is essential, mystery is equally important. You don't need to hide things, you just need to pace your revelations. When you give her pieces of who you are, she'll want to see the whole picture. This psychological gap, what she knows versus what she wants to know, creates mental engagement. It's the same mechanism that keeps people hooked on stories, movies, or even conversations that end too soon. The human brain craves closure, and when she doesn't get it, she keeps replaying interactions with you in her mind. Curiosity also grows through unpredictability in conversation. When you're not always serious, when you mix depth with humor and confidence with subtle vulnerability, she feels emotionally stimulated. Don't always talk about the obvious. Ask her questions that make her pause and think. Questions about her dreams, fears, or memories. When a woman has to reflect before answering, you've already shifted her focus from the surface to the emotional depth. That's when she starts associating you with mental challenge and emotional growth. And that combination, it's magnetic. You can also keep her mentally engaged through your silence. Silence, when used intentionally, is one of the most powerful psychological tools. When you don't rush to fill every moment, when you let her feel your calm presence without needing to over-explain yourself, she starts to wonder what you're thinking. That quiet confidence speaks louder than any words. It communicates control and self-assurance, two traits that pull women in on a subconscious level. Remember, curiosity thrives on contrast. Show her that you're confident but humble, emotionally aware but not overly expressive, interested but not dependent. When she feels that you're not seeking validation, her curiosity deepens, because most men do. You become different by being disciplined in your expression. She starts to wonder, what's his story? What's going on in his mind? And the moment she starts wondering, she's emotionally engaged. Psychologically, curiosity releases dopamine, the same chemical associated with pleasure and anticipation. Every time she learns something new about you or experiences a side of you she didn't expect, her brain rewards her curiosity. She starts chasing that same high, wanting to understand you more, to connect deeper, to decode what makes you so centered and composed. That's how emotional addiction is built, not through neediness or intensity, but through mental stimulation. But here's the key. Never try too hard to be mysterious. Forced mystery feels manipulative. Authentic curiosity is created when you live with depth, when you genuinely have purpose, passions, and boundaries. When your life has meaning outside of her, she naturally wants to be part of that world. You don't need to fake intrigue. You become intriguing by being a man who's always growing. So, if you want to make a woman addicted to you, focus less on impressing her and more on intriguing her. Give her emotional moments that make her think, who is this man? Keep your communication layered. Let her feel that every time she gets close to understanding you, there's still more to discover. Because when you master the art of mental engagement, she doesn't just want your time. She starts craving your presence as the only place her curiosity feels alive. A woman can only fall deeply for a man when she feels both safe and stimulated. Safety without mystery feels dull. Mystery without safety feels unstable. But when you combine the two, when she feels emotionally secure around you while still sensing that she hasn't fully figured you out, you create an emotional balance that becomes addictive. She feels grounded in your presence, yet her curiosity keeps her emotionally alive. That's the sweet spot where true attachment forms. Emotional safety doesn't mean being passive or overly accommodating. It's about creating a consistent emotional environment where she knows she can express herself without fear of judgment, criticism, or withdrawal. Women crave emotional validation, someone who listens without trying to fix or control. When you provide that, she starts to associate you with calmness and relief. Her nervous system relaxes around you. And that feeling is powerful because in today's world, very few people make women feel emotionally safe. But here's where most men go wrong. They mistake emotional safety for emotional dependency. They think giving her constant reassurance, availability, or attention equals safety. It doesn't. That kind of emotional overexposure leads to predictability, and predictability dulls attraction. Real emotional safety is created through balance. You're emotionally available, but you're not emotionally dependent. You allow her to open up, but you don't lose yourself in the process. You validate her feelings, but you don't let them dictate your behavior. Then comes the other side of the equation, mystery. Mystery is not about being secretive, it's about being selective. It's about having emotional depth she can sense but not fully access right away. You maintain parts of yourself that are revealed only through trust and time. This keeps her emotionally invested because she feels there's more to learn, more to explore. The key is subtlety. Show her enough of your depth to make her feel emotionally connected, but hold enough back to keep her intrigued. When you build emotional safety, you engage her heart. When you add mystery, you engage her mind. Together, they form a powerful emotional loop, comfort and curiosity feeding into each other. She feels secure with you, yet she never stops wanting more. That tension is what keeps her thinking about you when you're not there. It's the psychological equivalent of a heartbeat, steady but always in motion. To create that dynamic, be emotionally honest, but not emotionally transparent. When she asks about your past, share insights, but not every detail. When she asks about your goals, speak with conviction, but leave a layer of intrigue. Let her see the direction, but not the entire roadmap. When she feels that you trust her with parts of your truth, she bonds with you emotionally. But when she realizes she still hasn't uncovered all of you, her curiosity deepens. That's emotional mastery. From a psychological perspective, emotional safety triggers oxytocin, the bonding hormone, while mystery activates dopamine, the pleasure and anticipation chemical. When both are released in balance, the brain creates an emotional imprint, linking you to both peace and excitement. That's why women find it hard to detach from men who give them this blend. You're not just a person anymore, you're an emotional experience. So if you want to make a woman addicted to you, don't choose between being open or being mysterious. Learn to be both. Let her trust your consistency, but never let her stop discovering who you are. Be her emotional calm in a chaotic world, but also the man whose depth she can never fully measure. When she feels both safe and fascinated, she doesn't just want to be around you, she needs to be, because you've become the rare balance her heart and mind both crave. Every woman, no matter how strong or independent, carries a deep desire to feel seen, valued, and cherished in her feminine energy. This isn't about flattery or compliments. It's about creating a space where she can fully relax into who she is. Most men don't understand this. They either focus too much on impressing her or withdraw emotionally when she starts showing vulnerability. But what truly makes a woman addicted to you is your presence, your ability to make her feel that in the moment she's with you, nothing else matters more. Presence is not about physical proximity, it's about emotional engagement. It's when you listen without distractions, when you look into her eyes and genuinely absorb what she's saying, when your energy says, I'm right here with you. That's rare, and women can sense it immediately. When a woman feels your full attention, her defenses drop. She shifts from trying to earn your focus to surrendering into it. And that emotional surrender is where connection deepens. But presence alone isn't enough. You must know how to feed her feminine energy. The feminine thrives on emotion, expression, and flow. When you create an environment that welcomes those things, she feels free to be herself. Encourage her to share her thoughts, celebrate her emotions instead of judging them, and acknowledge her efforts without making it transactional. When she feels appreciated for who she is instead of what she does, you activate her feminine core. This is where many men fail. They think masculinity is about control or dominance. True masculine energy is about direction and grounding. It's being emotionally steady enough that her intensity doesn't throw you off balance. When she's upset, you don't react defensively. You stay calm. When she's excited, you match her enthusiasm. When she's quiet, you don't pressure her to talk. You simply remain present. That calm, centered energy gives her something she can emotionally lean into. It tells her, I don't need to perform to be valued here. That's when she feels safe enough to open her heart. Attention is another language of love that women deeply understand. But it's not about constant contact or endless compliments. It's about intentional recognition. You notice her small changes, the way she styles her hair, the tone of her voice, the mood behind her silence. You remember details about her life, things most people forget. When you acknowledge those little things, you're sending a powerful message. I see you. And for a woman, being seen is emotional gold. It validates her existence on a deeper level, and that validation becomes emotionally addictive. Psychologically, this type of connection activates oxytocin and serotonin, the hormones linked to trust and emotional bonding. The more she feels seen and grounded in your presence, the more her brain associates you with safety and emotional fulfillment. She doesn't just like being around you, she needs that energy. Because with you, she feels balanced, free in her femininity, but secure in your masculinity. Feeding her feminine energy also means letting her feel you, not through words, but through your demeanor. The way you look at her without speaking, the way you give her space when she needs it, without making her feel abandoned. The way you touch her hand during silence, communicating reassurance without saying a word. These subtle moments matter more than grand gestures because they speak directly to her emotions, not her logic. When you master the art of presence and attention, you don't have to chase her. She'll naturally be drawn to you because your energy gives her something rare in today's fast-paced, disconnected world: emotional grounding. She feels alive in her emotions, yet safe in your strength. And once she experiences that dynamic, it becomes nearly impossible for her to find it elsewhere. You've become her emotional anchor, the calm she desires, the attention she craves, and the masculine energy that allows her to be fully feminine. Here's the psychological truth most men never understand. When you give someone constant access to your presence, they begin to take it for granted. It's not that they stop caring, it's that their emotional receptors get saturated. The value of your presence decreases when it's always available. This is why strategic distance is not about manipulation. It's about restoring balance and reactivating appreciation. When done correctly, pulling away creates emotional craving, not confusion. It reminds her of your value by allowing her to feel your absence. Women are emotionally driven. When they feel deeply connected to you, your presence becomes emotionally comforting. But the moment you withdraw that presence, not out of anger or ego, but with emotional composure, you trigger curiosity and desire. She starts to think about you more intensely because the brain seeks to close emotional gaps. That's when she replays memories, rereads old texts, and wonders what changed. It's not the silence that drives her crazy. It's the contrast between your warmth and your sudden calm detachment. But let's make this clear. Strategic pulling away is not ghosting, ignoring, or playing games. It's about shifting focus back to yourself to restore polarity in the connection. When you step back to invest in your purpose, your peace, or your goals, your energy becomes stronger, more magnetic. The masculine energy thrives in direction and independence. And when you move in that energy, she subconsciously feels it. That silent strength reignites her attraction because it reminds her that your world doesn't revolve around her. It includes her, but it doesn't depend on her. This is where most men fail. They either cling when they feel emotional distance, or they cut off completely to prove a point. Both extremes destroy emotional attraction. True emotional mastery lies in the middle. You withdraw gracefully, not abruptly. You become less accessible, but still grounded. You don't chase. You let her come to you naturally because your energy invites her back without words. She feels your absence, but she doesn't feel punished by it. That's the difference between tension and toxicity. When you pull away with emotional intelligence, you give her time to miss the version of herself that she was around you. Women don't just miss the man, they miss how they felt with that man. The calm, the excitement, the validation. When that emotional experience is gone, she starts to crave it again. This craving isn't about ego, it's about emotional chemistry. The same dopamine that made her feel good around you now drives her to seek you again. Her mind replays what made her feel alive, and your absence amplifies that longing. The key to doing this effectively is authenticity. Don't pull away to manipulate her emotions. Pull away to protect your energy. Let her feel that your presence is earned, not demanded. When she realizes you can detach with strength and composure, her respect for you increases. She sees that you're not emotionally dependent on her reactions. You're emotionally grounded in your own life. And that type of confidence is incredibly attractive. Psychologically, this dynamic is known as intermittent reinforcement, the most powerful behavioral pattern for creating emotional attachment. When moments of connection are followed by subtle absence, the brain releases stronger dopamine each time connection resumes. It's why we get addicted to uncertainty when it comes from someone we care about. But when you combine this with respect, authenticity, and emotional safety, it becomes healthy emotional polarity, not manipulation. So when you sense emotional imbalance or overexposure, step back. Reconnect with yourself. Don't explain it, don't justify it. Your calm silence will speak louder than any words. Because what keeps a woman addicted isn't your constant attention, it's the rhythm of your presence and absence. It's the anticipation you create when she knows you could reach out at any moment, but choose not to unless it truly matters. When she feels that controlled distance, her mind begins to chase the connection again, not because you played a game, but because you reminded her of something powerful. Your value doesn't shrink in silence, it becomes louder. Making a woman emotionally addicted to you isn't about tricks, games, or manipulation. It's about emotional intelligence. It's about mastering the balance between connection and distance, vulnerability and mystery, presence and independence. When you understand her emotions, keep her mentally engaged, and make her feel both safe and intrigued, you become more than just another man. You become an experience. Women don't get addicted to people. They get addicted to how those people make them feel. So when your energy gives her peace, your confidence gives her excitement, and your absence reminds her of your value, she doesn't just want you, she craves you. And that's when you've mastered emotional attraction on a level most men never reach.